One of the most common fears we experience is the fear of failure. And it would seem that the fear is usually connected to the after effects of the failure rather than the failure itself. For people with low self-esteem, failure is overwhelming. If you're anything like me, you've probably had similar thoughts where failing can be proof that you're not good enough, that it will make the people around you dislike you, and that the failure will cause yourself trouble, or worse, that it might hurt someone else. The fear can show up in a lot of different cases, where some might be life-changing, while others don't really matter in the big picture. But the gravity of the possible outcomes are not what drive the intensity of it. If a low-risk situation looks high risk to us, it might be enough to persuade us to not take action. The classic example of this feeling controlling us is when we talk about love. Most people can probably relate to the feeling of being infatuated with another person, and yet, instead of sharing their feelings with that person, they make up whatever excuse they can come up with to justify that being a bad idea. This self-defense mechanism allows us to take the easy way out. It keeps us safe within our own bubble, but this safety comes with a heavy price, which is why we need to train ourselves by taking on challenges in order to be strong enough to face failure. From here on, this video will contain mild spoilers for Sekiro, and if you haven't played it yet but have been wanting to, I urge you to play through it before watching any more of the video. Sekiro starts out as many games do, with giving you a simple task to get you accustomed to the controls of the game. The game holds your hand throughout the start by not making you have to engage enemies until after you've learned about the basics of movement, traversal, and stealth. Once you've completed your first task though, the game starts throwing some challenges your way. Here, the combat starts and you'll be learning about the different mechanics while facing enemies that are, in all fairness, not something that should provide any notable struggle. You also get the added satisfaction of beating up on a boss, which should have you thinking that you're getting the hang of the game. When you've successfully executed your second task of finding the secret exit, the game sets up a brick wall that you're not expected to overcome. If you haven't been defeated before getting here, this will most likely be your first taste of what some might view as failure. It becomes clear early on that dying is not something you want to be doing. Not only is your currency in the form of XP and Sen taken from you, but your failure has a direct negative effect on the people around you in the form of dragon rot.
どうした？竜がよ、よどみのあふれで振りまかれ、やがて死に至る病じゃ。
Sekiro in particular does its best to highlight your failures by all the mechanics previously mentioned, but also through the story. Death, or rather the desire to escape it, is a central theme throughout the game. The best example of this, I believe, are the monks of Senpo. The monks are a cautionary tale of what happens when you succumb to fear. By not accepting failure as an option, they lose their way and become something that more resembles a corrupt zombie than a monk looking for inner peace. Now this all sounds very heavy, and we have done nothing but focus on the negative in this video. So I think it's about time for us to look at the other side of the coin. All champions have at some point lost. One thing that the people in the clips have in common is that they didn't let that define them. Accepting failure and using it as a teacher while success wasn't guaranteed allowed them to attain their goals.
狼よ 我が血と共に生きてくれ。
This is where I believe Sekiro becomes something special. It establishes early on that you will be dying. It relentlessly beats you down over and over again. I was defeated by the early game bosses more times than I cared to count, which made me doubt whether this was something that I could do. But then after many tries, it happened. I experienced victory and the rush that came with it. The rush that you get from clearing a challenge in Sekiro is quite different from a lot of other games, simply because its difficulty is enough to make you question whether or not this is something that you can overcome. With that said, Sekiro starts tapping into the same feeling you get from playing multiplayer games. Multiplayer games highlight that challenge as we almost always see a winner and a loser. Some of the most intense feelings I've gotten from gaming have been while playing multiplayer games, as these situations aren't custom made by designers for me to figure out. Quite the opposite. I actually play with someone that is actively trying to make me fail through them succeeding. And in the same way that I feel happy about winning, I also experience a similar emotion when overcoming a challenge in Sekiro. The game puts on a mask of being unrelenting while having always been made in order for you to beat it. And the times where the game is at its most successful is when you believe that that's not the case. Some of you might be thinking that the point I'm making is way overblown, and that might be true. The game might never have been created in order for us to learn about personal growth, and putting yourself through the experience of beating the game might not turn you into the confident type of person you want to be. But we can learn from the experience of overcoming this challenge, and take that with us when we face new challenges further down the road. If you made it this far in the video, I would like to start out by thanking you. This is the first time I've tried doing something like this, and I know that there are bound to be mistakes throughout the video. If you happen to catch any mistakes, or if you have any feedback, please do let me know so I can learn from it and improve. At this point, I'm still figuring out where I want to take this channel and what I want to do moving forward. But if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to experience the journey of this channel with me. See you next time.